Okay, so let's understand. So today it's like a day 2 demo. So today is day 2 demo. And someone is in. Okay, so today is day 2 demo, and in this day 2 demo I will be solving one of the CCA 175 certification scenario. When I am saying CCA 175 scenario, it does not mean that this will be the same scenario which will be there in your certification. Okay, so when I gave my certification in April 2020, so I prepared some 60 to 70 scenarios. So this is one of those scenarios which I have already practiced and before appearing for my certification. Okay, okay, now let's try to understand. So I hope few people might be knowing RDDs or data frames, or few people would be newbies to this. So don't worry. So just see what we are trying to do. Okay, nothing else. Okay. So if you see over here, so first there is like RDDs. RDDs are nothing but your resilient distributed data sets. Okay. So I'll not go into that technicality, into low level granularity, what is RDDs and what are data frames. Okay. So we'll just try to see how we can achieve this through a scenario called RDDs and data frames. Okay, so let's take a scenario has been given to us. We have been given a data. Okay, so that is a list, it's a collection. Okay, so it's a collection and we have been given a collection as a list. Okay, if you are appearing for CCA 175 certification, it can be a scenario like there will be some scenario based. If you plan for CCA 175, there are some 7 to 9 scenarios which you need to solve in 2 hours 120 minutes. Okay, and those all are hands-on based, nothing is theoretical, everything is practical. Okay, and it's not mandatory you need to solve the same scenario with data frame or RDDs. It's your call. You can go with RDD method also, and you can go with data frame method also. But here we'll try to see this one of the CCA 175, but not exactly the same. So we'll try to see with both the methods, RDD method and data frame method. Okay, so I'll try to solve this with the same thing. So first we'll try to see with the method called RDD, which is nothing but your resilient distributed data sets, and the second is nothing but with a data frame. Okay, let's try to see this scenario in both the ways. Okay, for that let me just open my Spark shell. Okay, so I'm just opening my Spark shell, and once you appear for certification, so you will not be given, means like you will not be having a ID like how we have seen yesterday, the Eclipse ID. Okay, you will be getting a open source distribution of a Cloudera wherein you will be seeing a black screen like this. Okay, so when you are seeing a black screen like this, you will have to fire your commands in an interactive manner. Once you fire one command, it will throw you an output. Once you execute one command, it will throw you an output. Okay, so it will be like that. So I've opened my shell, which is a Spark shell. Okay, inside that I already have my SC, which is nothing but the Spark context. The other is Spark. As I'm using a Spark 2.x version and the Scala 2.11 version, so predominantly I'm using Spark 2.x method version. So I can play with all my Spark session with the help of Spark context also. Okay, let's close off. So this is the scenario. What we need to do is we need to find the count. Okay, so if you see the count, like first we'll have to analyze the data. So if you do analyzation on this, so as I said earlier, there is a collection which is being provided to me. Okay, and what is that collection? That collection is nothing but a list. Okay, this is a collection as a list. Okay, let me copy this over here. Okay, that is fine. And this is 3, this is nothing but the partition size. Okay, as of now let's see the data. Let me come to my shell. So I'm just executing this. This is the data which has been given to me. Okay, as simple as it is. Okay, so let me execute this. So this is the data. So I have, if you just want to see the list RDD1 data, you just need to iterate over this. Okay, by just saying for each println. Okay, so whatever the data it is there, so I'll be able to over this or iterate over individual element. Okay, what I need to do is, if you see these two elements, okay, so I need to do certain things. First of all, these are two different RDDs. So obviously, if you see the output is nothing but something like I am getting a join. But let's understand what is the join on the basis. If you see, let's take an example of Saif. Okay, so this is the first collection, which is a list. Okay, so if you see, Saif is not available anywhere. So hence, I'm not able to see the output called Saif. Let's take an example of Shravan. Okay, so if you see the characters like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 7 like Shravan. So I guess we do not have the match in this. I mean, 7 characters. Okay, if you see, if you take Mitali, so again, like it's like 6 characters, but we do have some matches. If you see PRAMOD, it's like a 6 characters. Okay, similarly, if you see Mitali, Pankaj, if you see, this is 6 characters. Salman, that is 6 characters. So if we just understood the data, so what we need to do is we need to do a join on these two RDDs based on their character count. That is what we need to do that. So that is where the solution would be coming. Okay, so let's try to do that. Okay, so let me clear off the screen. So I know now the data is like available in my RDDs, and we have just iterated over that and we are able to that. So to remove the count, how we can remove the count. Okay, so let me just, so these are the first, this is the first RDD and this is the second RDD. Okay, cool. Now let me create a one more variable wherein I'll be trying to find out my length of the RDD. Okay, how I can find my length. Okay, so this is my first. Okay, so it should have been 1. That is fine, that's not an issue. I can change over here. So list RD of 1. So from this, what I need to do is I need to apply a map. Okay, so map is a function. Okay, in this I will be applying a lambda function. Okay, what I would be doing is, I see now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to assign an X, which means that let me show you, and maybe that, let me clear off the screen. Let me take the first one, let me take the second one, and let me just iterate over the first one, and let me write the code again. Okay, now I'll explain you so that what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to find the length of RDD1. Okay, so this is my first RDD. Okay, so this was the data which was given in my scenario. Okay, so what I have done is I have used sc.parallelize. Okay, so you can create your RDDs and data frames in 3 ways. Either you can use a parallelize with the help of collection. Okay, the second thing is you can use your text file method. Okay, as I was being provided with a collection, so I'm using my parallelize method. Okay, let's not go into that, let's come back. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take this RDD. Okay, so lis list RDD, because inside that I have all this data, right? Yeah, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to apply a map function. So I'm trying to give any variable name. It's your call, you can give any name. So I'm trying to give, let's say, X of lambda. Now what it means is this every row will be considered as X. So that's what I just reiterated this or re-executed this and showed you the data so that I can explain in a better manner. Okay, now so X of, now what I need to find is I need to find the length. So what I can do is simply I can do X dot length. Okay, length, and I would just say X. Okay, and just hit enter. Okay, if you see, now I am trying to get an RDD of integer and string. Earlier I was able to get an RDD only of a string. So what is RDD? RDD is nothing but your resilient distributed data set. Okay, if you want to see, just hover over the output by a for each method, and now I will be able to see what is the count. So Saif count is 4, Shravan count is 7, Mitali count is 6, and Manas, okay, 5, and so on. Okay, same way I will be doing for my second RDD. So length of RDD2, here I will be taking this. Okay, because inside this I'm having this data. So hence I need to take this. So let me take list list RDD of 2. Okay, same I will be applying a map function x of lambda, and here I would say x dot length of x. I should have said this to 2 because that data would have been overwritten. No issues. So I got 2. Now if I just need to iterate on RDD1, so I will just say for each of println, I will get this data. Let me iterate over the second. So I'll be getting this data. Okay. Now what I have done, initially the data was given to me. Now I have removed count for each element, or you can say each word as of now. Now I just need to simply join this data and see the data output. Okay, so let me just join. So join RDD equals to. So how the joins can be written? So simply how we write in any databases, same way. First table join second table. But here we have RDDs. So we will just simply say length of RDD 1 dot join length of RDD 2. And if you wanted to apply,
Saif, both the RDDs have same data.
where is the same data?
Length of RDD1 and length of RDD2.
Can you see on the
Yes.
screen? Is it the same data?
Uh,
Then I might have
yes.
overwritten the data.
Pankaj Salman from yeah.
Okay. So I might have, let me just copy this again. Thank you. So let me just copy this again and let me just remove the length again. So maybe like I might have used, so let's say length of RDD1 equals to, let me just take list of RDD1 dot map. Okay, I'm trying to use my lambda function over here, and let me say x dot length and comma x. Okay, so this was the first one, and let me take this as second RDD, and let me store this in the second. Okay, let's see the data. Length RDD1 dot for each of println. So this is my first, and let's see for the second. Okay, so this is my second. Okay, so hopefully, yeah, we are having a different data now. Thank you. Okay, so once we are having a data, so what I need to do is I just simply need to write join. So I'll be using like first RDD is nothing but length of RDD1 dot join. Second RDD is nothing but length of RDD2. Let's say if you want to apply inner, by default it's inner, so we don't need to write anything. If in case it could have been a scenario, let's say I would have to write a left outer. Okay, so I would have written like this. Okay, but as of now it's like a inner, so by default it is inner, no need to specify. So if we see the output, I was not able to get the data for Saif. Okay, because there was no match for a 4 character in this second collection, which was a list. Okay, so let me clear off the screen and let me hit this. Okay, so I am able to see the data. Means I am able to get the data in a key. This is my key and this is a value. Value is nothing but of a string of string. So now let's see the data from this. So let me iterate with a for each method. Okay, so I'm able to get the data. Okay, so I guess this was the data which we were expecting. It's a simple scenario which I have taken. Okay, so 5 we are getting a Manas, etc, etc, and let's say if I want to sort, I can do the sorting also. Okay, so let's say before that, so let me just go over here. I can apply a sort by method, and let me sort all the sorry, should have been here. So let me sort all the elements, and let's go with my first and just say false. Okay, so what I have done is on the first, if you see, it was coming 5, it was coming 6, but again, so that is fine. So if you see the data which we were trying to get, let me copy this and let me come over here. Okay, so this was the same data which we were trying to expect. Okay, so this is like in your RDDs. So the first method, when the Spark 1.x was introduced, we used to have this method like RDDs, wherein we need to write the low level API programming. Okay, so RDDs helped to achieve or to construct or to write code on a low level API on a mostly like on an unstructured way of writing the data. Now the same scenario, what we can do is we can achieve with a data frame also. So we all are accustomed to sequels in the means like we are most probably like crowd or the majority of people are familiar to sequels and they are very much comfortable while writing the sequels as compared to the programming language. Okay, so wherein the Spark 2.x came into picture, so they came with a data frame concept. Ideally it came in like 1.6 only, Spark 1.6 only, but in Spark 2.x it gives more flexibility with and more performance capabilities with the tungsten and catalyzed optimizer and etc etc. Okay, now let's try to see the same thing in a data frame manner. So data frame is nothing but like same scenario we'll try to see in a data frame, but which is nothing but you can say, let me just copy this. It will be enough more readable manner. Like earlier we were able to see the data in like this in a scattered manner. So we can settle this data also. But let's say now I need to see the data in a tabular format. So that's where your data frame helps us and it gives you a very good readability and writing and you get the same feel of your sequels. Okay, so let's try to do that. So let me say this is my list data frame 1 and let's say list my list data frame 2. Okay, so again I'm using the same sc.parallelize method. Okay, and I'm using the partition. Now the only thing is what we need to write here is I just need to use dot to df method and I just need to assign a column name to this. I can say just let's say this is my column 1. Let me execute this. Okay, let me execute this. So earlier if you see we were able to see the RDD. Okay, now we are able to see a data frame. Okay, now if I just try to say list list data frame 1, now I'll be showing a show method like remember yesterday we have seen in the same way. So now we will be able to see the data in a tabular format. Okay, same way I will have to do for the second. So I'll have to use 2df method and here I'll say this as my column 2, nothing else. Okay, so let me copy this and let me paste this. Okay, same way I can see the data for this also. Let's data frame dot show and let's see all the data because we just have 5 to 6 records, not more than that. Same way the earlier we were getting the data in RDDs, now we are getting the data in data frame list df1 and list df2. Okay, now the data is in my data frame. Okay, now once the data is in my data frame I need to remove the count. Okay, now if you see earlier we have used a method called map. Okay, when we were using map we had used like lambda function and we have used x comma x dot length of 1, right? But in DSL, which is nothing but your domain specific language, that is either we are using Scala Spark or PySpark. Now we don't have those. Yeah, we do have that flexibility of writing the things in using a map function, but in data frames we are being this can be done in a different manner. Okay, let's try to see that now. So first I'll try to remove the length of my first data frame. Okay, so what was my first data frame? So the data frame was stored into this, right? Let me take that over here. Cool. So now what I will try to do, I will try to apply a group by, because what I need to do is, okay, so the current is gone. Resume it. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to apply a group by clause. If you have seen the data earlier, I had column 1 and I had column 2. In that I had certain names. So what I'm trying to do is, if let's say like let's say Mitali, Pramod, they are all having 6 characters. So I want to group them so that on the basis of count, so that I will have everything at one go. Okay, so let's try to see that. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do a group by, and on the group by is nothing but on my column 1. Okay, whenever I am applying a group by, we need to apply a aggregation. Okay, so again this is like internals, so you'll get to know once. So I'm trying to remove a length, same way like how we removed earlier. So what I'm trying to remove, I'm trying to remove a length of my column 1. Okay, and let me name this, let me give as alias as, let's say I'm trying to give this alias as CNT something. Let me execute this. Okay, so and let me just see the data, length data frame dot one dot show. Let's see how it is looking. So if you see now, what I have done is I've just done a group by, and I'm just trying to remove some count on that. Okay, it's a simple thing, just applying a group by and finding the length on the basis of column 1. Same way I will have to do for my column 2, right? So I will just change my syntax here and there, and I should be able to get the data for my second data frame also. Okay, and let's name this as second data frame, and let's see the second data frame data as well. Okay, so we are able to get some data. So I have a column 1, and corresponding to that I have removed a count. Okay, now once I have removed the count, now what I need to do is simply I just need to apply a join. Okay, so here maybe I can apply an inner join, maybe I can apply an outer join or anything. So in the previous scenario, what I have done is I have shown the with like a inner join. So maybe now I'll show you an example with a, not necessary you need to go with outer join, you can directly go with inner join also, but let's play with the data. So let's apply a outer join, we'll get some null records. Let's try to filter the null records. Okay, and then let's try to see the output. We can do that also. Okay, cool. So now let's try to do val. I'm trying to join. Okay, so let's say I'm trying to join a outer, let's say outer join, something like that. Let's say outers, if that is fine, any name you can give. Okay, so how we can write, remember in RDDs how the join was written, len rdd1 dot join rdd, and I told if you want to apply inner outer, you have to write that keyword explicitly. Okay, let's see that over here. So the first data frame was length data frame. I'm trying to apply a join on the second data frame, so it was like length data frame 2. Okay, till here it was like a same syntax. Okay, now what I will try to do is, if you see earlier and if you recall that I have given a column name as count CNT, okay, to both. So let me just remove this, let me show you the data. So this was the DF1 and this was the DF2. Okay, I am trying to apply a join on this result set. Now if you see, the joining column name is CNT and CNT. If you recall the concept of employee and department table in SQL, when we try to apply a join, let's say it's a inner, left, right or full, there is a column ambiguity of a department number because that column name is available in both the tables. So the same way, when I'm trying to apply a join, and definitely that should be available, otherwise I will not be able to apply the join. So what I will be doing is I will be applying a join on these two columns. That's what I'm trying to perform, what I'm trying to do. Let's try to do that. So val join, let's say val join, let's say outer in this scenario. Okay, okay, and let me take my first data frame, that is nothing but df1 dot, and before that what I'll try to do is I'll try to alias this. Why I'm trying to alias this? Because it will give me a better flexibility to pick the column names from the individual table by giving the table name dot column name. So that what I'm trying to do over here. Okay, let me take a length data frame and let me name this as df1. Anything you can give, it's your call. Okay, now I'm trying to join. When I'm trying to join, let me give this as the second data frame name as len of df2. So this is my second data frame, which is nothing but the result of this. Okay, let me alias this. What I will alias this as, alias as df2. Okay, cool. So till here we have seen, so till here we have seen like last time, so no issues here. Now I need to, when I'm trying to join, so there should be a joining column. Okay, so I need to provide a joining column. Okay, let's take, so len of data frame 1 from this result. Okay, from this result, what I am trying to do is I am trying to take a column that is nothing but CNT. Okay, and I am trying to apply a join on my len of data frame 2, and the second is nothing, again it's like it is having the same column name, but it's a different data frame name. Okay, and here I just need to specify whether it's a inner join, whether it's a outer join, or it's a full outer join. So left outer join, right outer join, etc. So here I'm trying to write an outer, which means like it's a outer join, full outer join. Okay, so let's execute this and let's see what is the output. So it is giving an error. So yeah, so if you see, it is telling that error not found value df1. Yeah, so if you see, I have not I have not embedded that. Let me clear off the screen and let me come backwards. Okay, so let me just make it in the double quotes. I hope all the syntaxes are good. Yeah, now let's see the data. So join outer. Okay, and we just need to say show. So it is computing and we are able to get the data. Okay, so we got some data. Now what we need to do is we just need to filter this because we don't need that data. Okay, so let's filter the data. So I would just say val filter null data equals to, what is the resultant data frame? This is the resultant data frame. Let me copy this. Okay, it's not copying, so let me just write join outer. Okay, now what I will try to do, I will try to write a select clause. If you have attended yesterday's session, so remember after applying a with column, I was using the select. So the same way I am trying to use a select over here. Now as I have assigned a alias name, so I can access the individual columns. So I don't know, so which, this here I have CNT, here also I have CNT, but I don't know this CNT belongs to which data frame, this CNT belongs to which data frame. For that purpose, I have aliased this so that I can individually access with this and this. Okay, so that will give me a better flexibility. That's what I told earlier. So let me say df1, sorry, should be df1.cnt. Okay, the count is like df1 cnt initialize. Okay, the column name is this. So data frame, what first column name. Okay, and let me take the column, the let's say call one. Okay, then let me take the call to. Okay, so call, and let me write this in double quotes, call to. So I have taken data frame 1 df1.cnt, call 1, call 2. Okay, so I'm just selecting these columns and I'm trying to apply a filter. Okay, so filter is being applied on the second column. So let me just apply data frame 2. Okay, and what was the column from that, which was, okay, so now I'll take that column 2 because I have not taken that. So I'll take this column 2 because I've just taken column 2. Okay, so see, I'm trying to pick column 1 and column 2 as it is. There is no concerns about it. But as this column had ambiguity, I was not knowing. Okay, if I would have just written CNT, when I executed this, it would have given an error, not able to recognize CNT. That's why what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take specifically from my first data frame result. Hence, I have just prefixed this over here and I have not prefixed this over here. So don't get confused. Okay, so data frames again 2. So the second column is not null. Simply, I just need to write like SQL way, nothing else. Okay, let's see the data. Filter null data dot show. Okay, so not found. Okay, it is giving me data set. Okay, cool. So it is giving me a data set. So if it is giving me a data set, let me use then. That is not an issue. So maybe I can just write another logic on that and then maybe I will be able to get a data. Okay, so as of now, let's try to see.
I think name is different. Can you check name?
Yes, yes.
Here is double L and there is one single L.
Yeah. Okay, so we are able to get the data, but this is not how like we want the data, right? So yeah, we have got the data, so we are able to get, so on the basis of count we are able to match, and we have filtered the data. But now what we want is we need to concatenate this. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to concatenate this. Okay, so we just need to do some concatenation, etc., etc., and the final thing is nothing but, let's say, conc data frame equals to. Now I what I'll do is I'll use, like, if you like remember yesterday's session, I have used a with column. Okay, with column is like just to add a column. With column renamed is like to change the existing column name and so on. Okay, so I'll just use this column name. Okay, so that is no typo error. Okay, now I'll try to use a with column. Okay, now I'll try to name the new column name as conc because that is what is needed. Okay, and whenever you are appearing for the certification, always remember that whatever column names or whatever the folder names which they are giving in the solution, as a result you need to write that only. Even if your solution is correct and if you're not specifying the column names, or if you are not trying to save the same folder name, your answer would be marked wrong. So that's what a small care we need to take care while appearing before CCA 175. Okay, okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to apply a conc logic over here. Okay, so let's say conc, and this is the new column name. Okay, I'm trying to use a concat function. Okay, we all know, like in SQLs we have concat. Okay, so it's just the way of writing how it will be different. Okay, so here I'm trying to use my call keyword, and let's say this is my call one because I need to join these two columns, call one and call two, right? So I'm specifying my first column. After that I need to specify a literal. Okay, so the literal is nothing but a delimiter, which is nothing but a comma in my case. Okay, after that I just need to say, again I need to say call, and that is nothing but my call to. Okay, so what I have done, I've just written a small syntax, that is I've written a with column. I'm trying to create a new column with a concat. Okay, so I've done a concat, and that's it. So I guess that should be, so conc df dot show. Okay, so we are trying to get all the three columns, and if we don't need this, what we can do is, because in the output if you see we just need two columns, so what I can do is here only I can just write a select clause, and in there I can just write my two column names which I want. Okay, so what are the two column names which are received? CNT, so that should be like in initial caps CNT, and the second column name is nothing but the conc which we have derived. Okay, okay, there is an error of typo. Okay, let me just show the data now, conc df dot show, and let's see the data. So now we should be able to get the appropriate result that we were expecting like earlier. Okay, so the same data we are able to get that here also. Okay, so this is how, like in CCA 175 some scenarios will be given to you. If you are planning to appear for CCA 175 certification scenario, almost like you get 7 to 9 scenarios. You need to solve those 7 to 9 scenarios in a span of 2 hours. Okay, and whatever the now there is no scoop and hive which is which had like in earlier certification, because the newer certification which was rolled out in February 2020. Okay, so after that in April 2020 I have appeared for this certification. So it had a new syllabus, which means that like everything we needed to achieve with Spark. Okay, so everything was done with Spark, so that's where you have to stress more on the Spark APIs. Either it could be RDDs or data frames. I would prefer data frames because most of the projects nowadays are using data frames, and slowly they would be moving from data frame to data sets. Okay, so this is like for today. So any